Why you always in the mood? I'm acting brand new. I ain't trying to tell you what to do, but try to play it cool.
Welcome to Between Us Girls. I'm your host Lola, and
I'm Etta.
Hey Etta, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
How's your week been? I haven't seen you in a while. Like 3 days?
I know, 3 days is a long time in the bestie world.
And that's the truth. Ooh, I don't know how people go 3 months. It's like, what have you been doing?
I know, distant relationships between friends is hard.
And we got to do that topic one week. Talk about how do you survive a relationship that's so far apart. But I guess people in love relationships do it nowadays too.
Yeah, anyway, that's another day for another topic.
Yes. I could do a long distance relationship.
I can't. I mean, a friendship, but not a relationship.
I could do either. I probably would prefer a long distance relationship, but that's another topic for another show.
Okay, all right, so we're going to pick a topic for this week.
Yes, we got our first segment.
The set off.
Mm-hmm.
What's good?
Yeah.
Say less or fasten your seatbelt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take it this week.
All right, girl, you go ahead and take it.
Okay, I'm very simple. I don't really, small things make me happy. And I think I'm going to do what's good.
Okay. What's good? Well, we'll have music or something here one week. What's good?
One of these days. Anyways, so I think we are going, what's good is something that's good that's happened this week,
you found
right?
entertaining, fun, something that made you smile.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
So something cracked me up and I can't stop thinking about this. Meme I saw on Instagram the other night and I can't get over it. It is a woman running out of the White House saying, "Don't worry, y'all. I stole all the pens, so he can't sign shit no more." Okay, I loved it. Again, like I said, I'm easy, y'all. Okay. Alrighty. So,
that meme has been going around. I think I saw it a couple times, but we're gonna get a lot of those type of memes these days. Something gotta make you smile.
Something. You got to find something to smile through what's going on in the world right now.
I know. But that's not why you came here to this show.
No, we ain't talking about that shit.
So this week, our show is all about relationships. First week, we did relationships between besties. Second week, we did relationships between... what did we do? It was good too. Between yourself. Yes. And this week we're doing relationship with your parents. Ooh. Now,
question: do we collaborate, parents and mother-in-law and mother and father-in-law, or do we in-law, or that's a different thing?
I think that's a totally different thing.
Too. I got a lot.
We talking about the people who caregave for you. So that could be your grandmother too, if you were raised. We were lucky enough to both be in 2-parent households, but it could be anybody who actually cared for you. So that's what we're talking about, that relationship.
Okay. All right. So,
if you had one word to describe it, Etta, how would you describe you and your parents' relationship?
Dang, that's deep. One word?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead. You go first.
All right. So first, let me start off by saying my parents are no longer with us, but we're not going to discuss that this episode. But I would say our relationship was one way. In the sense of, I did everything for them. Not that they didn't do anything for me, but they did. But they were never concerned about anything but other than me doing right or going where I needed to go, or being the person I need to be. My parents came from a generation that just wasn't a bunch of talking about emotions and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think I had the connection that other people nowadays have with their parents, where they could call their parent up and tell them about something that happened and get their advice on it. Yes, I could do that to the point of like, I need a new car, or I need to figure out what school I want to go to. But like friendships and like relationships, no, none of that. We didn't have that kind of relationship. So that's why I would say one way would describe our relationship. I think if my parents were living, they would have said, "Oh my gosh, we are perfect, like perfect family." That's what my parents would have said. How about you? You still think?
I can't think of one word, but I mean, I'm going to just go with what came to mind first, and that's work. And I think the reason why I say that is everything's kind of been work. Like I think about, obviously everyone's relationship with their family or your parents is different from when you were younger to when you're an adult, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I bring that up a lot. Like the last episode I did that too, but people change throughout the years, right? So like I
They
think
grow.
yeah, so coming from a foreign family, like we came here when I was 5, and kids learn the language a lot quicker than adults do. So I learned English within 6 months. And then because I had learned and I was understanding and I was communicating with other people outside of my family, they became a little bit dependent on a 5-year-old. That's a big responsibility for a 5-year-old to sit there and translate to your parents what's going on in the world, what bills you got to pay, what you got to do, things
And
like that.
5-year-olds can't translate emotion and meaning behind words.
Yeah.
Like they can translate exactly what you said, but sometimes people say stuff without saying.
Yeah. And then it became work later meaning like when I was 9, like my mom was diagnosed with cancer. Again, not a topic to talk during this episode, but like then it became my dad needed to work for my mom, right? Like he needed to provide emotional support to my mom. So then it became work because she was pregnant when my mom got diagnosed with cancer. So my brother came into this world and again became work. I kind of became the parent then. So it was like work there. And I think the most or least work I've had to do is probably in the past 6 years with my parents, because now we're at a point where my mom's health is better. My dad is more comfortable. He kind of just does what he wants. He's retired, and now they're like, okay, what can we do to help you? So actually, me and my parents' relationship is amazing. Like they come over here every day. My mom helps me so much because I work full time. I've got 3 kids, and
They're really good grandparents.
Yeah, they're amazing grandparents. So it's like, they help me with the kids. They help me with the house. It's amazing. But I'm still helping them too. My mom still goes to the doctors, or my dad might need something. It's not a lot. My dad's the least needy person in the world. So yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, let's talk about what is the best and worst part of the relationship. We're going to start with worst first so we can end on a happy note. Yeah.
The worst part of our relationship would be, I don't know. It's always been like, I've always dreamt of, when you're growing up, people talk about how they went on so many trips with their families and their parents did this and they did that. And I kind of missed that from when I was younger. So I think I would love to, it's not the worst, but I'd like to work on traveling more as a whole. Yeah. How about you?
I think the worst part of the relationship with my parents is really the facade that you had to put forward. Whether things were going good or bad, you had to have this outside appearance that everything was well. And sometimes I would hear my father talk about a situation. I'm like, that didn't happen like that. But in my house, you couldn't say that. You had to go along with it. So you knew what exactly happened, but they always put a good spin on it, which is, part of what people are raised to do. Leave your issues inside your house. Don't take them outside your house. So
put on your mask.
Yeah. So, but my parents were very good at that. Very good at that. So that would have been the worst part.
I think I'm good at that too. Like I will have the biggest fight in the world, in the household, 2 minutes before you knock on it. And when you come in, you would never know. You would never know that that's what happened. Like, I think that's your upbringing. I think it's your upbringing. Like, my parents, like yours, made it very clear that if something happens in the household, good or bad, that you don't emotionally portray that to others.
Yeah, and I think I did, in turn, I do the shutdown. Something happens, I just shut down. Everything else can happen in the room. People can keep moving on, doing what they're doing. But I just shut down. Like, I'm out of the situation. I'm not dealing with it. I was just talking about this at work the other day because, like, somebody started screaming. And they were like, you just sat there. And I'm like, I don't even know how. There's no response to that. You sitting there at work, like, get it together. Like it's no response. So I'm good at the shutdown. Like I'm done with the conversation. You know, sometimes they even go, conversation is definitely over. So we might as well move on to the next thing. So yeah, I think the facade thing really grew up with me. But the best thing about my parents that I take with me every day is that my parents were really good at helping others. Like my mom was a teacher. She loved helping people. Even at the church, she loved helping people. She taught people dance for free. Every summer, people would come over our house and take piano lessons for free. And I would, as a child, you don't even realize that, like how important that is to have that in your life. But even my dad, I can remember he was a basketball coach. People coming over the house and, Thanksgiving dinner, a whole group of people, or people needed help getting a car or needed money or needed a place to stay for the night. My father was always there helping people. They were just two people who really loved to help other people. And I am so blessed that I got that trait from them. And I think really all of my siblings got that trait from them. We're in fields that help people. Mm-hmm. So I'm really blessed that I got that from them. How about you?
I think the best is communication.
Mm.
Yeah. So like growing up, like I mentioned, like I'm culturally different than the American culture. My parents were a lot stricter than your average household, I guess. But my dad was probably the most understanding growing up. So like technically, I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend. I wasn't allowed to like do anything, go anywhere. And I remember telling my mom one time, I was like, Mom, Grandma told me I couldn't have a boyfriend. Can I have a boyfriend? My mom's like, hell no, you can't have a boyfriend. Then I was like, Dad, can I have a boyfriend? And my dad's like, let's have a meeting, honey. So then he like took me into another room. We used to have these family meetings where it was just me and my dad. Like my mom was not allowed in these family meetings because she was the hater. Okay, so we would go into the room and I'd be like, Dad, can I have a boyfriend? And my dad was like, and mind you, I'm like middle school, okay? Like, what am I going to do with this boyfriend? Except he lived in my neighborhood, so there was a lot to do, but I didn't know. I wasn't like the teens, the middle schoolers nowadays. I really was naive. Anyways, so he came into the room and I'd be like, Dad, can I have a boyfriend? And my dad would be like, as long as you don't lie to me, as long as you, don't put a strain in my trust in you, like, you can do and say and date and all that other stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. Same thing happened when I wanted to shave my legs. My mom was like, hell no, you too young. I'm like, Mom, I'm a wolf girl. It's so long. People make fun of me all the time in PE, and that's when you had like uniforms in PE. And people would have like silky smooth skin. And here I am like half ape. Like, I'm Mediterranean. We're hairy. But, so he was like, no, go ahead and shave. And my mom's like, you don't talk about that type of stuff with your dad. That's not culturally accepted. My dad said it was okay that I talked to him about things like that. And I think as I got older, that communication became, I still go to my dad. We still have private family meetings. That's never going to change. I'm going to tell my sister about that. But I can now talk to my mom about things too. I mean everything to my mom now. Like, whereas before, you couldn't talk to your mom about anything. One time I told my mom, listen to this. Someone got pregnant in high school. And I said, Mom, can you believe so-and-so got pregnant? And they're pregnant and I could see their belly and whatever. And I was like, Mom, what would you do if I got pregnant? Right? Mm-hmm. Normal response of any mother would be like, I'd support you, honey. My mom said, I'd chop your ass up, ship you to Turkey to your grandma's house. I'm like, what? Like,
my mom would have said the same thing.
Chop me up. Yeah, crazy. And my parents were not parenting for a few years in like my midlife because of my mom's illness. So my grandma and my grandfather came in, which just when I thought I was getting my parents like adjusted to American culture and like they were understanding, boom, slap in the face. You got turkey all over again because your grandmother and your grandfather are raising you, and there's no way in hell because you're not technically their kids. And if you get a scrape on your leg, you don't want your son-in-law to be like, they didn't take care of my babies, right? So it became even stricter. But like I said, the communication is amazing. It's always been very, very good between my parents and I.
Yeah. You mentioned talking to your dad more. I talk to my dad more too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I came on my cycle, and I was very early, and I didn't know what it is because in my house we didn't talk about stuff like that. I mean, you mentioned somebody being pregnant. I remember starting 6th grade, first time in public school, and the girl next to me was pregnant with her second baby. And I said to my parents, I came home and I said, oh my goodness, this girl is pregnant with her second baby. Like, how could that happen? And my father said, I guess she don't know God, and we're not going to talk about it no more. And that was the end of it. Like, I had no concept.
I guess she don't know God.
She don't know God, so we're not going to talk about it no more. And I must have been like 9 years old because I had skipped a grade, so I was young. And I was like, oh, she don't know God. Like, I don't even know how I felt about that. But anyway, so when I came on my cycle, I remember starting, and I was like, I went to my father and I said, you won't believe what's going on with me. I think we're going to have to go to the hospital. And he said, what? Let me get on my clothes. It was the middle of the night. I remember it. He started getting dressed. And then he was like, well, what's going on? I said, I can't even wear nothing. Like, I'm bleeding. And my father was like, what? And then he was like, you should go talk to your mother. And my mother was sitting right next to him in the bed. And she was like, oh, about what? And my father
was like, take her. Take her to the hospital.
I think it's her time. And then they started arguing. I remember this because my mother had put some stuff up for me. And my father had threw it away when we cleaned out my room because he was like, you don't got space for this. So we're going to throw this in the trash. You're not going to even worry about it. And I remember that box being there that my mother put there. But my father threw that right in the trash. So when she walked in there, she was like, where's the stuff? And my father was like, we threw that away. So he had to go to the supermarket in the middle of the night to get more stuff. Yeah. And then my mother talked to me a little bit about it.
I never had the talk. So when I got my cycle, my mom was in the hospital. Worst time to be in the hospital, mom. But anyways, so I had nobody else to really talk to about it. I knew my mom used to use something, but what did she use? I don't know, because it's not okay to talk about it, like you said. So I asked my grandma, I said, hey, so this thing happened. What should I do? My grandma's old. She's from a different generation. She lived in the village of Turkey. She wrapped
she
up
rode
a
horses
piece of,
around.
She sure
we
did.
Learned about that.
She wrapped up a piece of cloth and said, here. And I said, what? I was like, but my mom had something in a plastic something. It made noise and, my mom would hide it from me.
Right.
It was not appropriate. And she's like, no, this is the way. And I was like, okay. So
that must have been a great day at school.
Yeah, no, thankfully, I think it was a weekend. But anyway, so I used that. And this is the love of a grandparent. I was like, I'm not touching that. She even washed it for me.
That's my sunshine. I can imagine her doing that.
And then I think I told my mom over the phone, and then my mom told my dad, and my dad picked some stuff up or told my grandma where the thing was, and then my grandma handed it to me after a couple days. But it worked out. It was just the whole family had to find out. Yeah. kind of thing. But yeah, crazy.
I got one last question. I just thought about it. What is one thing you wish you could do for your parents? If you could do anything for them.
If I can do anything for them. I think you already have an answer. Why don't you go first?
I didn't have an answer, but...
Okay, I have one.
Okay.
If I could do one thing for them, I would love to build a house, because I don't think I can buy one exactly the way I want it. But I want to be able to build a house where I can have all the space I need for my family, like my children and my husband and I, and then a whole separate corridor, area of the house that's it's connected, but it's not connected, still within reach, but not, not far, where it's their space. So they have their living room, their kitchen, their entrance, their exit, but they still can come into my space, I can go into their space,
Right.
and then we all live happily ever after like that.
If Azra could hear that, she would love it. I think I am yet blessed again that I think I did everything. I can't think of one thing that I went, oh, well, my father did want to go to the NBA game, so before he passed. We didn't get to do that, but I'm going to take his ashes to a game, so that's still going to happen somewhat. But other than that, I think, everything my parents asked me for, I did. Whether I had to struggle to get it done or not struggle to get it done, I made sure they were taken care of. So, in the way they wanted to be taken care of, whether that I would agree with it or not. I mean, my father went on many trips with me and ordered like he was a millionaire. And I was like, what is going on? Tipping people $40 for a $10 breakfast. Like, are y'all dating now? Because what we doing? That's my money. $40. My mother would be like, your father went to breakfast every morning. I'm like, by himself? Yes.
I also remember I think it was more so your dad's mood of the day, right? Because so we could go out to dinner. Remember we went out for the anniversary and that was a good anniversary. It was like seafood. Okay, we know how much seafood costs. And he was trying to leave a $3 tip.
Well, that's my dad too.
Yeah, that's the mood. It's where you catch him.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad they were able to live the life they wanted. Good. So that was good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was another great episode. Thank you all for continuing to watching. But we really need y'all to like the episodes. Hit the little button that costs you nothing.
Comments. Maybe you have a topic you want us to talk about.
Tell us about your relationship with your parents. Did it change from when you were younger to when you were older? I know a lot of people now are having conversations with their parents. I know I did that at one point in time to figure out some of the stuff, why they did it while we was younger. And it added a lot of light to the
You understand
situation.
A little bit better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us if you did that. Also, subscribe to our channel. We're trying to reach 500. Woo! How many do we have, Ada?
Subscribers?
Yeah. 17, which is not 500. For those of y'all that don't like math, I'm going to do the math for you.
That'd be me.
Yes. 483 of y'all need to subscribe. And
where you at?
Yes. I see that some of y'all are watching this twice, which, I love that. Make sure you leave a comment. Second time watching.
Yes. And next week's episode is going to be good. It's a little different, but it's going to be good.
Yes.
So don't miss out.
Yes. And we'll see you next Tuesday from Between Us Girls. Bye.
Why you always in the mood? I'm acting brand new. I ain't trying to tell you what to do, but try to play it cool. Really, I ain't playing.